भाई और बहनों, देश के सामने एक ही मुद्दा है, कास्ट सेंसस। ओबीसी कितने हैं और उनकी भागीदारी कितनी होनी चाहिए, ये हिंदुस्तान के सामने सबसे बड़ा सवाल है कि हमें हिंदुस्तान का एक्सरे करना है। और कांग्रेस पार्टी की हिंदुस्तान में सरकार है, पहला काम ये हम करके दिखाएंगे। हिंदुस्तान की सरकार जानती है, नरेंद्र मोदी हिंदुस्तान के ओबीसी को ये बताना नहीं चाहते हैं कि आप कितने हो।
इस चुनाव में देश को जातियों में बांटने की बहुत कोशिशें हुई, लेकिन मैं लगातार कह रहा था कि मेरे लिए देश में 4 जातियां ही सबसे बड़ी जातियां हैं। हमारी नारी शक्ति, हमारी युवा शक्ति, हमारे किसान और हमारे गरीब परिवार, इन 4 जातियों को सशक्त करने से ही देश सशक्त होने वाला है।
Don't look at political brownie points. It's not good for the country. It's not going to help. You have ruined the country for the last since independence in 47. It is high time that we must think about it. Do the ministers need to job there properly? Yes, they need to do the job properly because they don't have to think about their vote banks and constituencies. And to win the election, we have elected them to power. It is their job to deliver. If they can't deliver, they should vacate the seat.
A big hello and welcome to the 13th Annual India Leadership Conclave and Indian Affairs Power Brand Awards 2024. The timing of hosting this historic and iconic conclave, titled Governance India at 2047, the big picture assumes tremendous significance as India's 2024 general election kicks off with major implication for the world's biggest democracy. India is home to more than 1.4 billion people. Between April 19 and June 1st, nearly 970 million Indians will be eligible to cast their votes in the largest democratic exercise in history. Over 44 sweltering days, the country will vote in 7 sequential phases to select 543 new members of the lower house of India's parliament. The election will also determine whether incumbent Prime Minister Narendra Modi of the ruling Bhartiya Janata Party will be elected to serve a 3rd consecutive term, a feat matched only by India's inaugural Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru. India Leadership Conclave's 13th annual edition is being held at a time when Bharat is set to have a new government at the centre. Ladies and gentlemen, the establishment and ruling dispensation at the centre before 2014 had a glaring legacy with deep sense of uncertainty that pervaded the economy and was accused of having engaged in rampant malfeasance, weakened public sector institutions and indulged in profligate spending. Governance took a back seat. Weak leadership, policy paralysis under UPA regime hampered critical economic growth. The roots of India's policy paralysis are myriad. Corruption scandals, policy missteps on investment and tax policy, and a divided Congress leadership all played starring roles. The year is 2014. A lotus blooms on front pages of newspapers and saffron flags deck the streets. Then again in 2019, the people of India voted Narendra Modi back to power with the 2nd term. Narendra Modi, India's watchman, captured historic election victory. Prime Minister Narendra Modi of India is the first Indian Prime Minister to lead his party to majorities in Parliament in back-to-back elections in nearly 50 years. Under the leadership of Prime Minister, India witnessed a series of reforms and confidence-building measures. Prime Minister Narendra Modi in an election rally recently said, "New India innovates, initiates and implements." New India is no longer ready to accept that corruption is part of the system. It wants its systems transparent, processes efficient and governance smooth. Our governance model focuses on service and commitment. Our only aim is to ensure the last mile reach of developmental benefits to all. Ladies and gentlemen, Prime Minister Narendra Modi's tenure has been marked by significant legislative reforms, technological interventions and institutional strengthening to enhance transparency and accountability in governance. One of the most impactful reforms introduced by the Modi government is Digital India, which aims to minimize human intervention, enhance transparency and improve efficiency in governance. Leveraging the JAM Trinity, Jan Dhan, Aadhaar, Mobile, Digital India has facilitated the implementation of Direct Benefit Transfer (DBT), which has been a game changer, with over 104 crore beneficiaries receiving benefits directly in their accounts, resulting in estimated savings of Rs 2.7 lakh crore from improper appropriation. Furthermore, JAM Trinity has helped identify and eliminate nearly 11 crore ghost and fraudulent beneficiaries of government schemes. Since the COVID-19 pandemic, the government has been giving free food rations to 814 million of India's 1.42 billion people. Some critics have said the fact that the government feels the need to support nearly 60% of India's population with free cereal is a sign of uneven economic growth in the country. India is predicted to become the world's third largest economy over the next 10 to 20 years, with Prime Minister Narendra Modi's economic reforms and international engagement aiding this growth. Still, the nation faces significant hurdles such as domestic agricultural and manufacturing problems, international trade, the need for deep domestic economic reforms, and the preservation of social stability in the face of internal divisions, which, if unaddressed, could hinder India's journey towards true global power. Since his election in 2014, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has embarked on a quest to remake India. He has invested heavily in expanding infrastructure and building a welfare state that brings its poorest people into the formal economy, while institutionalizing pro-business policies to encourage higher growth. Dr. Satya Brahma, Editor-in-Chief of Network 7 Media Group and founder of India Leadership Conclave, says if India can avoid regional wars, its long-term success will depend fundamentally on its internal economic performance. The principal task facing its leaders is to convert what has been an episodic peak growth rate of 7% or higher into a new trend growth rate for at least the next 2 decades. A change in government alone will not produce a sustained reduction in uncertainty. The next government must have a clear economic vision tailored for the short, medium and long runs. There are 3 immediate economic hurdles that India must overcome. The first is agricultural reform. Agriculture employs close to 45% of India's population but contributes only about 15% to its GDP. With a crying need to absorb this unproductive fraction into sectors of the economy that can better utilize unskilled labor only highlights the larger problem of India's low labor productivity. Stimulating Indian manufacturing is next. Studies suggest that India cannot sustain a 7% plus growth rate without substantially increasing manufacturing. Modi's Make in India campaign constitutes a commendable rectification, but concentrating on flashy, highly capital-intensive manufacturing is unlikely to produce the 56 million non-farming jobs that will be required in India by 2030. India Leadership Conclave is of the opinion that remedying this policy paralysis and uncertainty will be the next government's #1 priority and challenges. In the short run, the next government must send a signal to private capital, including foreign investors, that it is open for business. An early priority must be finding a swift resolution to a series of high-profile tax disputes, including shutting the door on the contentious and damaging issue of retrospective taxation of international trade. The next government must invest in the design of transparent policy frameworks for the management and allocation of natural resources. Ladies and gentlemen, the new dispensation should not lose sight of the bigger picture. The most vital reform priority is to rebuild the very foundations of the Indian state that govern its internal workings and relationship with private capital. Here, the most critical task is not economic but political, restoring the credibility of the rule of law. The shortcomings in the making of laws, their enforcement, and the resolution of disputes over their application have helped fuel an environment of paralysis, reversing the trend of neglect and inefficiency which marks India's rule of law institutions from the judiciary to the police is a task that cannot be completed in a single term, which explains why such reforms are so fitfully pursued. To reduce uncertainty, the sheer willpower of a decisive leader is insufficient. This task requires rejuvenating India's moribund public sector institutions, a decidedly unglamorous endeavor. Too often India has relied on ad hoc solutions, be it fast-track courts to skirt hopelessly backlogged benches or centrally sponsored schemes to circumvent state-level delivery systems. Leaders at the top come and go, but the institutions they live behind tend to stick around.